We are here. Welcome back to Module 4 Delivery. Yay! I'll bet you're saying, this course went too fast. Yep, it sure did, because you put in the work and you are closer than ever to becoming a power speaker. In this module, we will cover 3 case scenarios that foster speaking events to better understand how to deliver a message. These scenarios include one-on-one leader, subordinate, small group or teams, and boardroom presentations. As a leader, there will be occasions when you must have a one-on-one with a member of your team. If, for example, this dialogue requires finesse, then your delivery of the message can take on several forms. If the dialogue is meant to guide and coach the employee into better work behaviors, then the delivery strategy would follow these important preliminary steps. Number 1, determine the goal or intended outcome for coaching or mentoring the employee. Goals are like directives, and they chart a course of action. Without them, the speaker loses power and impact. Number 2, determine how the intended outcome supports the mission of the organization. Meetings should be purposeful and connect with the overarching goals of the organization or institution. Being a power speaker means that clarity is achieved by both parties. The power speaker bridges the message with the mission. Number 3, be open-minded and unassuming. When you enter into a one-on-one meeting, the leader must trust that the right person was hired. Because employee behavior changes over time, it becomes necessary to conduct discovery meetings that will enable the leader to draw out potential answers to employee behavior. Number 4, determine appropriate body language you intend to deliver. This is a big one because body language sets the mood from the outset. Number 5, select a neutral location for the conversation. A neutral location can be a safeguard when having a one-on-one conversation because it is associated with where the power lies. Your office space is not necessarily the best location for having a coaching/mentoring meeting with an employee for helping him or her change their behavior, because it may leave a residue of discomfort every time he or she passes by your office. These are the preliminary steps that must be taken before engaging the employee. When you meet with the employee, take authority with the pacing of the meeting. Pacing the delivery of a message is important and establishes control of that message. This one-on-one is a non-traditional public speaking situation, but it is still a public speaking event and affords you the ability to deliver the message with power. In the case of coaching employees toward better work behavior, it can be misunderstood as discipline. However, a power speaker coaches and takes on a positive connotation where the employee is encouraged to welcome the changed behavior. So how do we get there? First, we start by opening the dialogue with probing questions about current work behavior. For example, how do you feel about your work environment? A question like this could potentially set off alarms, but if handled properly and followed up with another question like, what would make this environment better, could cause the employee to see potential for a good discussion or meeting. It's very easy for a leader to gravitate toward the faults of an employee before pointing out what she does well. Resist this urge. As a power speaker, in this one-on-one situation, have an open dialogue about the qualities you admire in your employee's work behavior. At the same time, use questions to get the employee to open up and share how she sees herself improving. Select a few of the ideas and use them as a basis for coaching. Your coaching becomes powerful by how well you manage the language that pivots mindset. If an employer has an employee that needs behavior modification, then you are in a position to deliver a logical argument that includes nonverbal, verbal, and visual communication. In this case, the employee needs to recognize your posture and gestures to signal seriousness and approachability. He or she also needs to recognize your tone of voice as a measure for how accessible the conversation should be. This is where your attitude about the conversation is on display, and you will need to deliver the proper tone to create an atmosphere conducive for change. Find an empty conference room to deliver your meeting. The next delivery mode is speaking to teams or small groups. While most leaders are comfortable having this speaking experience, it is still challenging when all eyes are on you. Typically, this speaking situation requires a message that gives direction and instruction for initiatives. To be effective, deliberate message planning is necessary. Here are some steps that can help you get there. Number 1, identify the initiative or the initiatives to be implemented. Number 2, select appropriate outcomes. Number 3, decide key players and appropriate roles. After scheduling your meeting with your team and selecting the best location, then you're ready to deliver your message. Depending upon your leadership style, you may build in opportunities for your team to contribute to the components of this initiative. But if that is not feasible, you will need to deliver your ideas with inclusivity in mind. For example, you are an executive leader at a major nonprofit organization for community affairs. Your organization develops relationships within the community and discover that there is an opportunity to bridge the youth programs with the local high school to offer tutoring services. There are multiple schools within the district, and your organization has great rapport with each of them. As the leader, you decided that your next initiative is to facilitate tutoring services to reach each school. It requires a team to effectively execute this agenda. Now, transport back to your meeting with your team members and deliver a message that will incite enthusiasm and readiness to effect change. As a power speaker in this situation, you are aware that your team feels as if the task is too big and daunting, but your message should convince them that it's possible and should include 1, the objective for the initiative, 2, who you will serve, 3, why you should serve, 4, plans to coordinate programs, and 5, who should be responsible and in what capacity. And include any other relevant logistics. If you are met with additional resistance, then pivot into the next level of persuasive language. Here is where you demonstrate the benefits to the community. It can help to have data on standby. In this scenario, the power speaker gains momentum and buy-in by providing evidence of potential impact. Visual language can be very effective here. In the final stage of your message, be inclusive with your team and solicit feedback. By initiating this open communication process, which we discussed in modules 2 and 3, you show respect to your team members and value their opinions. All right, we've come to the end of this module with a discussion on power speaking in the boardroom. By comparison, boardroom speaking is the most challenging, primarily because it's requiring you to speak to your superiors. While it may be challenging, it is not impossible. There are a few considerations before you deliver your speech, though. Number 1, do your homework. Research is imperative at this level because you want to convey you know what you are talking about. Number 2, exhibit authority. This level of confidence says that your audience doesn't need to second guess your competence. And number 3, practice technology, but have a backup plan. As much as we want to rely on technology, we can't and must have a plan B. Also, build in a little something for everyone. For example, you're around the boardroom table because you are the highest team in the organization or institution. That means that there is synergy between each executive leader that impacts each department. On occasion, you will team up with another department to reach your goals and get appropriate outcomes. This partnership should never go unnoticed. During your presentation, take the time to acknowledge and compliment members of the team when they have contributed to the success of the department. For example, you are delivering a presentation on success rates and retention in your department. You could piecemeal data and present a generic report, but the Vice President of Research and Development teamed up with you to assist with gathering and analyzing data using instruments from their department. The outcome of this partnership resulted in a thorough and accurate depiction of the success you are experiencing in your department, which you translated into a visual aid during the presentation. The strategy here for the power speaker is to recognize and give credit to those who assisted you, like the Vice President of Research and Development. This is a very powerful move because it expresses teamwork from the common good for the common good of the organization. An average presenter will hoard all the credit and may not get the same support the next time. Congratulations, you have completed Module 4 on delivery.